Hello and welcome to the AM News here on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agumofwegbe. We'd like to remind you that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Professor Josh Amopitan as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, at the State House in Abuja. The ceremony follows the Senate's confirmation of Amopitan's appointment as a rigorous screening session on October 16. President Tinubu charged the new INEC boss to safeguard the integrity of Nigeria's elections and strengthen the Commission's institutional capacity. In the meantime, the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Josh Amopitan, has pledged to uphold the highest standards of integrity and transparency in the nation's electoral process. The new INEC boss made the commitment shortly after he was sworn in by President Bola Tinubu in Abuja. Aniyetie Patrick has more.
The ceremony marks a new chapter in Nigeria's democratic journey as Professor Josh Amopitan formally assumes office as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Addressing management and staff at the Commission's headquarters, Professor Amopitan emphasized teamwork, discipline, and renewed voter confidence as key to INEC's next phase. He said the staff must work together to strengthen processes and build public trust ahead of the upcoming Anambra governorship election.
Our mandate is very clear as INEC. INEC has a constitutional responsibility and a statutory mandate, as we all know. Mandate is clear, and what is it? To deliver free, fair, and credible elections that reflect the will of Nigerian people. To achieve this, we must work together as a team. So that is why it was so important for us to start our assignment with this interaction.
Earlier, the acting INEC chairman, May Agbamuchembu, while handing over, described Professor Amopitan's appointment as a continuation of reforms that have strengthened Nigeria's electoral system through technology and transparency.
A significant moment in the life of our commission and indeed our nation's democratic journey. It is a day of continuity, renewal, and steadfast commitment to the ideals of credible elections and good governance.
As the INEC chairman settles into office, attention now shifts to how his leadership will steer INEC through the forthcoming Anambra governorship election and further deepen Nigeria's democracy. Professor Amopitan succeeds Professor Mahmood Yakubu, and his tenure begins at a time of high expectations for electoral credibility and reform. Aniyetie Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Thank you so very much, Aniyetie. The Senate is set to amend the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency Act to secure better funding and improve road maintenance across the country. A National Assembly correspondent, Topsy Gemba, has details.
The Senate Committee of FEMA highlighted this during the screening of President Bola Tinubu's nominee for chairman of the FEMA Board of Trustees. The committee, led by Senator Sha'abi Alhaji Yawu Zamfara North, expressed concern over the continued poor state of federal roads, attributing the challenge to inadequate funding of FEMA. Senator Yawu lamented that despite FEMA's critical role in maintaining the nation's road infrastructure, lack of sufficient funds has hampered effective operations.
FEMA should be an agency that should be well funded, and we are looking forward at a situation whereby we will make some amendments into the law that created FEMA for us to be able to make it work well and properly.
Responding to lawmakers' questions, Musa Babayo, nominee for FEMA board chairman, vowed to use his extensive public service experience to reform and strengthen the agency's capacity.
For FEMA to succeed, we need that collaboration, especially at the National Assembly level. The Committee on PAMA at both chambers of the National Assembly will continue to engage with other critical stakeholders and other institutions of state, the Ministry of Finance, the ICRC, and other development partners.
Babayo's confirmation could mark a turning point as the Senate works towards amending the FEMA Act to enhance funding mechanisms aiming to deliver safer, more reliable roads for Nigerians. The amendment, once passed, is expected to boost the agency's budget and operational efficiency towards tackling Nigeria's road infrastructure challenges decisively. Topsy Gimba reporting for Global Television News.
Still on legislative matters, the House of Representatives is demanding answers from the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, over reports that officers manning checkpoints in parts of the southeast and south-south are not properly kitted. This followed a motion of urgent public importance raised by Abia State lawmaker Ibe Osonwa, who described the trend among personnel of the Nigeria Police and Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps as alarming and a threat to national security. National Assembly correspondent Aniete Patrick brings us more.
The sponsor of the motion, Ibe Osonwa, describes the situation as alarming as it duly undermines public confidence and accountability within the security system.
The House has observed that this gross lack of proper identification at checkpoints creates a dangerous climate of ambiguity, making it virtually impossible for citizens to distinguish between genuine security personnel and criminal impersonators.
Adopting the motion, the House resolved that the Inspector General of Police should appear before the Committee on Police Affairs to explain why the situation persists and what steps are being taken to correct it. In a related development, Ahmed Saba from Kwara State urged the federal government to send humanitarian relief to communities in Patagi affected by recent insurgent attacks. He commended the Nigerian Army for restoring calm to the area.
Of ongoing effort of the Nigeria Army and other security agencies, including police, force, Department of State Security Service, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and local vigilante group to combat the bandit and restore peace.
Also on the floor, Uyime Idem of Akwa Ibom State raised concerns over oil spills and environmental degradation in Ukanafong local government area, calling for urgent federal intervention.
Concerned that the persistent oil spillages have contaminated water sources, destroyed farmlands, killed aquatic life, and subjected residents to economic harm.
Before removing the EFCC chairman past second reading, the proposal was sponsored by Yusuf Gaddi of Plateau State.
Cybercrime, cryptocurrency manipulation, illicit financial flows, terrorism financing, and real estate-based money laundering had become prevalent. Yet, the EFCC operate under outdated provisions that do not adequately address those new realities.
And in what could lead to a new state in Nigeria, the House also considered a bill seeking to create Ijebu State from present-day Ogun State. The bill, sponsored by Olufemi Ogunbanwo and 3 others, has now been referred to the Constitution Review Committee for further legislative work. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
Time to turn to other stories for you. Detained indigenous people of Biafra leader Nnamdi Kanu has told the Federal High Court in Abuja that he will defend himself after his lead counsel Kanu Agabi and other senior advocates withdrew from the case. Nnamdi Kanu confirmed in the court that he had taken over his legal representation, declining the judge's offer to assign him a new lawyer. Defending himself orally, he argued that the court lacks jurisdiction to try him on the charges filed by the federal government. Human rights activist and 2023 AAC presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore has been arrested by the police at the Federal High Court in Abuja shortly after showing solidarity with detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Police spokesman Benjamin Udeh confirmed the arrest, saying Sowore violated a court order banning protests around the 3-arm zone and will be charged in court. His lawyer, Inebehe Effiong, has described the arrest as outrageous, accusing authorities of making a mockery of Nigeria's judicial system. The Nigeria Police Force says it has intensified its clampdown on gun runners and criminal networks supplying arms to bandits and kidnappers across the country. At a press briefing in Abuja, Force Public Relations Officer CSP Benjamin Day disclosed that several high-caliber weapons were recovered and 9 suspects arrested in coordinated operations led by the Force Intelligence Department's Intelligence Response Team. Ubong Usoro has details.
In a renewed offensive against illegal arms trade, operatives of the Intelligence Response Team have dismantled multiple syndicates operating across Nasarawa, Plateau, Taraba, Kaduna, and Benue states. The Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Benjamin Ondeyi, reveals that over the past month, the police recovered 4 AK-47 rifles, 2 AK-47 rifles, 4 pump-action guns, and 15 magazines, more than 600 rounds of live ammunition, and other locally fabricated weapons in a series of intelligence-led raids.
The achievements we're presenting today, the achievements of the Nigeria Police Force, were proudly carried out by the Intelligence Response Team, the IRT of the Force Intelligence Department. And this is in furtherance of the charge of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeoluwagbetokun, PhD, NPM, to officers and men of the force to ensure that crime is brought to the barest minimum.
5 major cases were highlighted at the briefing, including the arrest of 9 suspects linked to gun running, kidnapping, and criminal conspiracy. Among them is a 40-year-old Bello Lado, also known as Bingo, and 3 other suspects arrested in Nasarawa and Plateau states. Police investigation revealed that the group had conspired since 2022 to trade nearly 500 rounds of live ammunition before their arrest.
All we do is to ensure that we fight headlong crime and criminality. So what we have here is what we have stated.
Force Public Relations officers say the recent breakthroughs reflect the ongoing reform within the Police Force Intelligence Department aimed at strengthening intelligence gathering and proactive policing. He therefore urged citizens to continue providing credible information to aid the fight against gun running and other violent crimes across the country. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
We appreciate your reports, Ubong. In a renewed call for greener and smarter cities across Africa, the Nigerian Environmental Society has convened its 34th National Conference and Annual General Meeting in Abuja, bringing together key voices in the nation's environmental sector. Again, here are details by Ubong Usoro.
With the theme, Sustainable Cities with Smart Solutions in Africa, the place of environmental management and social justice, the conference brought together environmental experts, policymakers, and stakeholders to chart a sustainable course for African cities. Speaking during the opening ceremony, the national president, Dr. Efebidike Okobia, emphasized the importance of integrating smart technologies and environmental management practices to achieve sustainable urban development.
We are celebrating first the 40th anniversary. The society is 40 years this month, precisely 17th of October, and it is also our 34th national conference. This is the beginning of another 40 years.
Also speaking, Prince Adekunle, a founding member of the Nigerian Environmental Society, expressed delight that the organization, which began with just 10 individuals, has now grown to over 35 chapters across Nigeria and even beyond.
Going forward, I would like to see a society that represents who we are as a country. When I open the brochure, I like to see that this society represents who we are as a country, because that was the intention when we started in 1985.
Representing the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Mohamed Fall, the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, commended the society's effort in promoting environmental awareness and called for stronger partnership to advance climate action and social justice in Africa.
The United Nations stands with you through the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, through our work on climate adaptation, energy transition, and biodiversity. We are helping to translate the global commitment into local action here in Nigeria.
As the Nigerian Environmental Society marks another milestone in Abuja, participants are optimistic that the discussions will translate into practical steps towards building a cleaner, smarter, and more sustainable cities across Africa. Ubong Usoro for Global Television.
Let's go to Nigeria's northwest now, where Kano State government has commenced sensitization for exclusive breastfeeding across the state. The campaign is to educate women on the importance of first 6 months breastfeeding of a newborn baby. Global TV correspondent Idris Jibrain was at the Murtala Muhammad Specialist Hospital and now reports.
All over the world, health professionals recommend against giving other liquids, including water, to infants younger than 6 months because breast milk provides sufficient hydration and nutrients.
Breastfeeding is like the bedrock of a healthy growth and development. A child that is well breastfed in its infancy tends to do well in its adult life. And many diseases have been established clearly associated with poor feeding practices during infancy and childhood.
But this idea of practice seems very rare in northern Nigeria, hence the need for this sensitization campaign to educate women on the best possible ways to provide all the necessary nutrients and antibodies for healthy development and protect their children against illness like diarrhea, pneumonia and measles.
A lot of research has been done on this particular issue. That is why we now saw the importance of the exclusive breastfeeding. It's easy in the north to administer exclusive breastfeeding. That is just what we want to create awareness, because you see, the woman will be given the breast throughout 6 months without water, without even, she's not going to buy the milk. She can't buy the milk. The milk is already established in her belly.
But there are challenges in embracing this exclusive breastfeeding, especially in conservative society like Kano, where poverty plays an important role among the less privileged.
A lot of cultural misconceptions, harmful cultural practices which people are practicing. So it's only through this kind of program that you dispel these misconceptions and then bring in correct information to the mothers so that they embrace this practice.
At the moment, it is very difficult to point a single woman with full 6 month exclusive. But Kano State government seems to have a solution to this.
Kano State government, under the leadership of Alhaji Abubakar Yusuf, is implementing a social protection which empowers households with some cash inputs.
Deep cultural beliefs among these conservative societies and poverty are believed to be responsible for the failure of women to embrace exclusive breastfeeding, especially in northern Nigeria. From Kano, Idris Jibrain, Global Television News.
Thank you so very much, Idris. You're watching Global AM News here on Global Television. When the rest of the news broadcast returns, we'll bring you more stories, including business, where the federal government has now approved uniform prices for Renewed Hope housing units across the country, as well as sports and foreign stories for you. Do stay with us. Let's begin with business now. The federal government has approved uniform sale prices for housing units under its Renewed Hope Estate program across all states of the Federation. The disclosure was contained in a statement issued by the Director, Press and Public Relations of the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Developments, Badamasi Haiba. The housing units, which comprise 1, 2, and 3 bedroom semi-detached bungalows, are part of the ministry's efforts to make home ownership more accessible and equitable for all Nigerians. The federal government has approved a sum of $1 billion for the modernization of the Apapa and Tinkan Island seaports in Lagos. the main commercial entry points into Nigeria's economy. This was stated by Adegboyega Oyetola, Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, at the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport Nigeria Conference in Lagos State. The minister noted that the upgrades will improve cargo handling and expand capacity to meet global standards. This is part of the goals contained in the ministry's 10-year Marine and Blue Economy strategy. President of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has revealed plans to list between 5 and 10% of the Dangote refinery on the Nigerian Stock Exchange within the next year, in a move aimed at attracting new investors and strengthening the company's capacity base. Speaking in an interview, Dangote said the planned listing is part of a broader strategy to deepen investor participation and align with the refinery global corporate governance standards. Dangote also noted that the partial listing will mirror the model previously adopted for Dangote Cement and Dangote Sugar, both of which are already quoted on the floor of the exchange. Let's take the news beyond Nigerian shores now. The United Kingdom Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by Process and Industrial Developments Limited, affirming that the Federal Republic of Nigeria is entitled to recover its legal costs in sterling rather than in following its successful challenge to a multi-billion-dollar arbitral award. Delivering judgment, Lord Reed, President of the Supreme Court, unanimously upheld earlier rulings of the Commercial Court and the Court of Appeal that costs should be paid in the same currency in which Nigeria's legal obligations were incurred. The case arose after Nigeria had successfully overturned 2 arbitral awards granted to the Industrial Developments Limited worth over $11 billion, including interest on grounds of fraud and public policy violations. The Commercial Court in 2023 found that the awards had been procured by fraud and were therefore void. United States President Donald Trump says his discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin have not yielded results, even as he announced new sanctions targeting Russia's 2 largest oil companies. The move signals a tougher stance by Washington as tensions rise over the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Foreign desk correspondent Zeral Nasir now reports.
According to the White House, the sanctions are designated to pressure Moscow into agreeing to a peace deal with Kyiv, marking a significant shift from Trump's earlier hesitation to penalize Russia.
Well, I think that in terms of honesty, the only thing I can say is every time I speak with Vladimir, I have good conversations, and then they don't go anywhere. They just don't go anywhere. So in that sense, but now look, he's fighting a war. He's in a war. That's 2 very competent sides, and that's the way war is. You never know with war, but I would say that it's time to make a deal. A lot of people are dying.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has welcomed the U.S. move, calling it a positive step toward ending the 3-year-old conflict that has claimed thousands of lives. Zahra Nasr, reporting for Global TV News.
Thank you, Zirao. And now to sports. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has reaffirmed the commitment of the 10th House to advancing sports development and strengthening collaboration with the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, SWAN, as the association marks its 60th anniversary. Global TV's Aniete Patrick reports from the National Assembly.
At the National Assembly, it was a celebration of partnership and purpose as the Sport Writers Association of Nigeria, SWAN, led by its national president, Benjamin Isaiah, paid a courtesy visit to the House Committee on Sports. The visit formed part of activities marking the association's Diamond Jubilee, a major milestone for the body that has shaped Nigeria's sports journalism for 6 decades. Represented by the Chairman House Committee on Sports, Kabiru Amadu, the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, commended SWAN for its professionalism and consistency in promoting sports development and national unity.
They already wrote a letter to Mr. Speaker seeking the meeting with Mr. Speaker, and the Speaker directed that we should host them on his behalf. As a committee, We already knew who they are. We have been working with them for over a year, and we know the contribution they are giving in the entire sports industry.
SWAN President Benjamin Zaya expressed gratitude to the Speaker and the committee for their unwavering support, noting that the anniversary would feature a series of events, including a sports summit, Navette March, and a launch of a 2 billion naira appeal fund for the construction of a SWAN house in Abuja.
We are launching an appeal fund of 2 billion to have a SWAN house in Abuja. I mean, for an association that has lived for the past 60 years and cannot boast of a house or of, an edifice of our own, we are still being housed at the National Stadium. While we appreciate that, we felt that there's need for us to own a place we can call our own. And we are trusting God to have that appeal fund of 2 billion thereafter.
The week-long celebration, which begins on the 24th of October, will climax with the investiture of 5 new national patrons and the presentation of Diamond Jubilee Awards to 60 distinguished Nigerians, including the Speaker and the House Sports Committee Chairman. Annie T. Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
The report by Anyeche Patrick marks the end of the AM News. Thank you so very much, everyone, for watching. I am Uyi Agumofwebe. Coming up shortly is Global Morning.